Okay, I can only make 10-minute videos with with the recording device I'm using. Um, so, where we left off, the time traveler was explaining about liquid and death and dimensions, how they're teaching geometry wrong in schools and stuff. I'm gonna read the paragraph I ended the last video with, but, yeah. All in good time, the time traveler's eyes twinkled as if from some secret joke. Now, he continued, holding up his cube-shaped cigar humidor, how about this cube? How many dimensions does it have? Are you putting us on? Cried Perry. It has 3, of course. Length, width, and thickness. Do I go to the head of the class? Perry's blue eye gleamed behind his glasses. Oh, I guess that's Perry. Okay. I'm quite serious, said the time traveler. Length, width, and depth. And that's all they ever teach you in school. His fist slammed the table in anger. Hold on now, said Manning. Are you trying to tell us that there's more? That there's another dimension besides length, width, and depth? There certainly is. Look at this composite portrait of myself, for instance. For starters. 3 sections, right? First I'm 5. He pointed at... Okay, here it is. First I'm 5. He pointed at one section. Next, you see me at 12. And then, finally here, I'm 20 years old. How many dimensions do you see? The same 3, of course, said Philby. Yeah, I guess that's Philby. The same 3, of course, said Philby. The canvas and frame have length, width, and depth. Aha! Said the time traveler. And that's where you're wrong. Wait a minute, said Manning. I think I know what you're getting at. Are you talking about time? Maybe that's Manning. Exactly, shouted the time traveler. Time! The one factor they always manage to skip in teaching us geometry. Time is the 4th dimension! But don't you see, said Perry. The reason they leave it out is quite obvious. Length, width, and depth are dimensions in space. We can move back and forth and up and down in space. But we can't go back or further forward in time. I can move in space, but... Okay. Wrong, wrong, wrong! Cried the time traveler. The fact is we can. What do you mean? Asked Philby, getting up. Oh, that's Philby then. That's definitely Philby. Yeah. Okay. What do you mean? Asked Philby, getting up. I am now walking across the room to the door and back. I can go up and down I can go up and down on a staircase or in a balloon. I can move in space, but I can't move it to yesterday or tomorrow. No, none of us can. That, said the time traveler. That, said the time traveler quietly, is only your opinion. I have been working on experiments for years, and I can now tell you of my great discovery. It is a machine that is capable of taking us into the past or into the future." Everyone at the table laughed. "Impossible! Ridiculous! Absurd!" "Don't laugh, my friends," said the time traveler. "It is not impossible or ridiculous or absurd." Smiling at his guests. "Really? Then how about showing us what you've done?" said Manny. "Yes, let's see your experiment," said Philby, "though I fear it's all a bunch of nonsense." The time traveler smiled at his guests and walked out of the room. They heard his footsteps heading down the long passageway toward his laboratory. Perry looked at the other men. I wonder what it is he's getting," he asked, puzzled. "Probably some magician's trick," said Manny. Philby said nothing but waited with growing curiosity. Soon his host returned, holding in his hand something that glittered. It was a metallic framework, hardly bigger than a small clock, and very delicately made, with some ivory and some transparent crystalline parts. The time traveler moved a small eight-sided table over to the fireplace and put the mechanism on it. A shaded light standing on the table threw a bright light on the model. This time machine model. The model of the time machine. No. The time traveler looked first at his guest, then at the object. "I would like to explain," he began, "that this is only a model of the time machine. Notice the twinkling part above the bar and these two levers." "It's beautifully made," said Philby. "It took me about 2 years to complete," said the time traveler, then pointing to the kind of saddle he explained. "This is where the time traveler sits, and these," and he pointed to the small bars, "these two little white levers control the time. The first one sends the machine gliding into the future, and this other reverses the motion." All the men got up and gathered around the table for a closer look. "When do you plan to test it out?" asked Perry. "In a few seconds. But first, I want you all..." Pushing the lever. "But first I want you all to examine everything carefully. Check the table too. I don't want to waste this model and then have you tell me I'm a quack. But for once the machine leaves, it will vanish into the future and disappear." "Are you really going to set it off?" asked Manny. Yes, I am. No, better you. You are. Lend me your hand, Manny. This way, you can tell it's you can't say it's a fake. Okay, so that's Manny. He's about to pull the lever, and that's gonna be it for